Hi guys, welcome to the Mud Jar. I'm today's host, Muddy, and today I'm going to be giving you a tip video for Luma Island. Now, I told myself I wasn't gonna make one of these videos again, but it turns out if I really like a game, the motivation for tips just it appears out of thin air. Just appears. So now I'm here. In case you don't know, Luma Island is a cozy job game where you have a choice of 7 different jobs you can choose from to earn money, decorate your little farm area, and progress the story. It's a really charming game with beautiful graphics, and so far it's been an absolute blast to play with a group of friends. I've spent a lot of time in Luma Island by this point, probably 50 hours, so I feel pretty comfortable being able to tell you guys some of the ins and outs of the game that confused me early on, or maybe slowed my progress so that everyone can have a much smoother, streamlined experience. This game tries really hard not to hold your hand. There's a lot of small things I didn't figure out for a while, and I think a lot of people could benefit from a video like this. So let's begin. First, I want to start off with a job tier list. Now, most of you would want to hear that each job is perfectly balanced and you can make it through the game with them. And that would be kind of true. But I definitely think some are way better than the others, and I'll tell you about the complaints I've heard in the community about them, or the complaints I've been saying while I've been playing. I think I'm just going to do an SAB type of rank system because none of the jobs are that bad, right? But I think there are definitely some that are just way better than others. Okay, the first 2 jobs on my list are the first ones that you see when you open up the job options, and they're also rated the easiest by Luma's in-game system, and those 2 classes are going to be the cook and the brewer. These classes are both based around farming, which visually I think is probably the most fulfilling jobs you can have because you get to see your progress by your growing farm. These 2 jobs are going to be the only ones that really make use of any of the land that you're given, so I think they're definitely fun on that front. These jobs are also personally my favorites just because I think decorating is fun, but I have heard so many complaints about how taxing they can be compared to others. It takes you about a little over your midway point in the game to get your farm automated. A lot of my friends in the community have felt they missed out on exploring a lot because they're just so busy micromanaging your crops, and if you choose to plant a lot of crops, these issues just become so frustrating. There's a lot that can go wrong while you're away from the farm, like weeds taking over, beetles swarming in to eat your crops, and even foxes creeping up to eat your chickens. It's a lot. If you go either of these jobs, I recommend keeping your crop load small and exploring at nighttime if you're feeling overwhelmed, because crops stop growing at around 8 p.m. and all the little pesky things that inhibit their growth stop as well. I would place both of these jobs in the A tier. They make a lot of money, they are very fulfilling, but they require a lot of work. The next jobs are some higher tiers of difficulty, and they're going to be the jewelry crafter and blacksmith. The jewelry crafter focuses on going into the mines and collecting crystals. When you hit said crystal, a spider will spawn in. They used to cause you to black out and respawn at the entrance of the mine you're in if you've been hit by it, but they've recently been a patch that has reworked them into just making you drop a couple of your items, which you can pick up pretty easily. This is my S tier class. You make tons of money doing this job. You collect ore while you're in the mines as you progress towards the gems, which in turn gives you a bunch of material for upgrading tools and general game progression stuff. And you literally never have to leave the mines. There is not a single material you need that you can't find in them. The only downside to this job really is having to deal with a ton of spiders, but they become easy to kill quite quickly, making them kind of a non-issue. Luma Island even offers an arachnophobia mode in case the creepy crawlers are something you foresee being an issue for you. Blacksmithing is very similar to jewelry crafter. You spend a lot of your time in the mines, but you'll be dealing with a lot less spiders, as mining crystals will always spawn a spider, but the blacksmith just has to deal with the occasional spawn that occurs after you've been in the mines for quite some time, since they won't be needing to hit the crystals. But this job does have to go outside to complete its quest items, and that alone lowers it to A tier for me. blacksmith still makes a lot of money and aids you a lot in progression, but you have to collect fabrics by exploring and cutting down plants. It's a little weird. You'll be making like, say, an anchor, and you'll be like, why does my anchor need cotton? You make anchors with metal chains. Where's the cotton going? Whatever. I'm not a blacksmithing expert, like maybe it's part of the process, I don't know. Overall, this is a great job for players that want a mix of outside time and mining. It's just not as efficient as selling your soul to the mines and never seeing the light of day again. The next two jobs with similar styles of play are the fisherman and treasure hunter. Both of these jobs fish, except the treasure hunter doesn't have a mini game to play along with it when you fish. You kind of just drop your bobber in, drop it out. Instead, your minigame is exploring and spending time searching through rubble piles so you don't only fish. Fishing requires an actual minigame. Fishing also requires bug catching and collecting a ton of forageables, while treasure hunting just requires ore from the mines and materials from fishing and from the rubble piles. Listen, if I said I was going to make a C tier, I would put fishing all the way into C tier. In my opinion, the fishing game is so unintuitive and very boring, especially over long periods of time. In Luma Island fishing, you just sort of follow the fish around with your line instead of like pulling or tugging at it in the opposite direction. It's different, I'll give you that, but it feels tiresome the deeper you get into fishing since it takes longer and longer to catch a fish. Fishing also felt really resource heavy to me. To be fair, a lot of the jobs are resource heavy, but fishing just felt more time consuming than other jobs. There's much more you have to collect on top of the slow process of fishing. It was really grating for me. In return for your hard work, fishing does make you a lot of money, but that didn't really matter to me because I didn't want to keep fishing. Fishing is also the only job that requires the use of the bug net, and it's one of the only tools you can't upgrade, so it can make collecting bait another tedious task. On the other hand, it would suck if the net was upgradable, since this is the only job that uses this tool. In farming, the watering cans also are not upgradable, but in return, you get to build items like a hose and sprinkler to aid you as you progress. Maybe adding in like nets you can build that passively catch bait could solve this, but yeah, as of now, I don't think the fishing job functions very well with how the game is set up. But that's okay. I know there's still a lot of people who are going to enjoy this job anyway, so don't be afraid to try it out. Treasure hunter, on the other hand, I would probably put in my A tier. It's not very difficult, and you get to explore a lot of the part of the maps, and it makes good money. Funny enough, I'm only giving it A because you have to run around a lot, but if you want fast money all in one place with the least effort, jewelry crafting is it. Treasure hunter is S tier if like fun was an important scale on my rating. The final job to talk about is archaeology. This job has skulls instead of stars for difficulty rating, making it seem a little intimidating, but I think everyone should pick this up as their second class. Unless you're playing in multiplayer and someone is already doing it, then you don't have to. But this class is, I feel, where a lot of the game takes place, so I also feel like you might miss out. A lot of your progression in Luma Island is locked behind completing the archaeology temples, so picking up as your job will help in guiding you through the game if it's not your first playthrough. The temples do get a little tricky though, especially as you progress. As of now, it's the only job that has like real consequences. If you die while you're exploring the temple, you'll lose the items needed to progress your job and you'll have to start over. I've seen quite a few people rage at these temples, so definitely expect the difficulty. As a frequent browser of the Luma Island Discord, there is about a 50-50 split of players who find the temples too hard and players who love the difficulty. I wouldn't be surprised if in later patches they offer options to lower it, as it seems to be a really hot topic. Especially after they've nerfed the spiders, I think we can expect different options for difficulty throughout the game very soon. I'm putting this one in my A tier just because it's probably not what you want to focus on as a job. You can though, if you really love it, you can rerun the temples as many times as you want. but I definitely enjoyed taking this job just as a means to progress naturally through the game. Alright, my next tips are going to be much shorter and in a completely random order. These are just going to be things I wish I had figured out sooner at varying levels of importance. Upgrading your whip, which is one of the tools you have access to in Luma, is way more important than I thought it would be. And it doesn't take any of your important materials to do so. I have 3 playthroughs going right now, and once I figure this out, I always go for the whip first. Although many of the enemies in this game don't offer any serious consequences, they usually do give you some kind of uncomfortable debuff, like making you drop your items, making your vision blurry, or slowing you down. The mobs in this game are simply annoying, like really annoying. They'll frustrate you if you don't navigate around them carefully. Upgrading your whip allows you to take care of them in a few hits, and getting rid of them in 1 to 2 hits is a huge difference from 7 or 8 when you're being peppered with these annoying debuffs. This leads me right into our next tip, how to grind out tool tokens. These tokens are used to upgrade your tools, so you're going to need a bunch of them. If you're playing solo, this might not be as big as a problem for you because many of your tool tokens are acquired through opening chests and solving small puzzles as you explore. When you have all these chests and puzzles to yourself, you rack up quite a lot. But in multiplayer, when you're sharing all these resources, tool tokens can be a scarce resource. On my first playthrough, I got pretty stuck because I didn't know how to collect them, and progressing in Luma can feel so terrible if you're not upgrading your tools as you go. The best way I found to gather these resources is to go out and slay a bunch of mobs, basically. Another reason why it's great to upgrade your whip, I can gather about 300 tokens in one walkthrough of the forest biome just from killing all the little monster guys. When your whip isn't upgraded and you need to farm tool tokens, this process is just awful. I mean, it feels so terrible trying to gather them while taking so incredibly long to kill anything. And by this point, I mean, I'm basically pleading with you to upgrade your whip ASAP. Like, please. I swear, it's so important. Another currency you get from chests and mobs are farm tokens. Funnily enough, you can spend these to get more tool tokens if you're really in a pinch. In each biome, there's like a little mushroom man and mushroom area that sells a lot of items you need for professions as well as tool tokens. It's a great way to gather items that you're sick of foraging. I'm looking at you, fish. But these shops are where you spend biome-specific unique currencies. Personally, I like to save these up to buy ever seeds, which are seeds you get if you're the cook or brewer profession that do not need to be rebought and grow infinitely. So that's pretty cool. If you're grinding any of these tokens, it might be nice for you to know that there are some biome puzzles that reset daily, such as the color puzzles and nighttime exclusive Firefly puzzles. These color puzzles are great because they add on a new color each day, making them more difficult as you progress. Additionally, I've noticed some of the chests that you find while exploring respawn over time, specifically the ones you get from completing little shrines in each biome. Now, I'm not sure how often they spawn, but if you haven't been to a biome in a while, it's always nice to check them out. A big part of the game Luma Island is your Lumas. There's multiple of these cute little guys, and as you progress, you'll unlock more and more. It is very important that you feed and pet them each day as they drop a value item called Luma Essence that is used to create your profession items. You can pet every Luma once per day to gain an essence. If you're playing with more than one person, it's pretty important to note that each person who gives a pet will receive an essence, so remember to pet your friends' Lumas too. Feeding sadly doesn't work the same way. Each Luma will only eat once a day, so if your friend feeds your Luma and takes your essence, too bad, so sad. Thankfully, you can buy Super Luma food from the mushroom shops, which Lumas can eat more than once a day. In fact, they can eat this food infinitely, so if you're lacking in essence, this is the move. This next tip is a little bit of a funny one, but as you get more Lumas, you'll have to build houses for them to stay in so you can keep farming their essence. If you deposit a Luma in one of these houses and want to pick them up, you'll need to use a bug net to put them back in your inventory. This confused the heck out of me. I had no idea how to pick my Lumas back up once they were in the little houses. This is also true for things like your farm animals like bunnies and chickens. You just use the net to scoop them right up. Now, I have seen a huge amount of people in the Luma Island Discord begging for fast travel to be added to the game, and I'm here to tell you that there already is fast travel. A lot of people just haven't reached it yet or built the right items, but they're actually these little houses you can build on your land that offer fast travel to different biomes. They're unlocked by finding blueprints of them in each biome, and they look pretty cute. There are also decor items that let you fast travel into town. If you build a car or bike decoration, they can actually be used to travel into town. You unlock the vehicle decor by exploring and donating ancient books that you find on your adventures, by the way, so it might take you a little bit to get it, but this stuff is already in the game. You don't have to keep asking for it. There are a lot of small forageable items throughout the games, like mushroom, flowers, berries, and reeds. I would pick those up. You're gonna need them eventually for something. I'm the type of person who picks up like 10 and then goes, I'm done, I have 10, that's all I ever need. And that's just simply not true. It's not true in this game. If you see any of these, I would gather them. There are some specific forageables for classes, but you'll figure out pretty quickly what you need and don't need. Okay, finally, I have some rapid fire decoration tips. You can change the color of your lights you place down on your farm by interacting with them. You can place all your forageables, the flowers, berries, and mushrooms, and use them to decorate. If you accidentally plow the ground, you can fill the space back in with gravel, sand, or hay. You can also make unique paths by combining the gravel, sand, or hay and apply. This one I never would have figured out on my own, by the way. Someone in Twitch had to tell me this. And finally, you can also combine the different fence types to make like unique patterns. Alright, anywho, this is going to conclude all the little tips I have. Special thanks to my Twitch community for learning this game with me and hanging out with me. You can follow me on Twitch at MuddyFE if you'd like to join me sometime. We play a bunch of different games, but it's always a blast. Don't forget to like and sub if you enjoyed your time in the Shire today. And roll credits!